let's bring Michael in, and we're going to talk about something positive, and then we'll go into the rest of the show. All right. Good morning, Sir Michael.
Hey, Sandy, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thanks
Good.
for inviting me.
You look young and fresh, and
Well,
like you've been.
I try to keep young.
Yeah. You've been getting a lot of rest, which I doubt that's the case, but you're looking anyway. You look the part.
Yeah, I try.
So Michael Myles is joining us this morning to tell us at least one of the amazing programs. There's so much that Inspire Cayman has actually been doing, but he's going to tell us about one of the amazing community initiatives that his organization, which is a training facility, has been involved in recently. So Michael, financial literacy. When I heard a couple years ago that you were teaching this course, I thought to myself, every single Caymanian should be enrolled in your course, because we all struggle from time to time. Sometimes it's in our youth when we're stupid and we're just making really, really poor decisions, but that's the time to get a hold of this, right? So give us a synopsis of what the financial literacy program is all about.
The goal is to help Caymanians understand about building wealth. I know that you and I have had this discussion. I didn't know. I watched my mother work hard, struggle with finances. She was brilliant in terms of taking care of us. But again, she didn't know. So I learned the hard way. And the hard way was bankruptcy, right? I filed bankruptcy at 34. I was in the US. It was one of the most scariest times of my life. And a lot of it is exactly what you just said. I made a lot of dumb decisions. I was smart with money. I was making great money. I was living beyond my means. What we are trying to do now is help Caymanians understand that the financial climate in Cayman isn't going to go down. So if someone is waiting for it to just go down or change in some miraculous way, that's never going to happen, right? It is here to stay. So what can we do? We have to now start to look at least 14 years down. And in particular in Cayman, I've been doing this course with a lot of Caymanians. And the goal has never been, I'm not making enough, or the challenges that I've seen has never been, I'm not making enough. It's always been, I'm living beyond my means. I have a lot of debt. And therefore, because of a lot of debt, they're taking home less and less. And that's what we have to get to the heart of. Can I help Caymanians take home more of their money? Because CUC isn't going to go down. Let's face it, right? Hurleys and Fosters, that their prices aren't going to go down. But can you get rid of your car loan? Can you get rid of your credit card debt? Can you get rid of your student loan debt? Can you get rid of your credit union loans, right? I see a lot of people just, constant. It's a payday loan. It's a personal loan. It's a Christmas loan. It's a this loan. It's a traveling loan. It's all sorts of loans. And then they find themselves underwater. And now I need to go to my politician, or I need to go to the bank, or I need to consolidate here. And then they are drowning. And then all of a sudden, the state have to step in and help you save your house. Or, you need to go to needs assessment unit because I can't afford this or I can't afford that, right? That's what I am seeing. And all I'm trying to do is provide information and the skills for people to just start making better decisions like I had to do. Like I had to do it. Right? I didn't have a choice because I had, 3 little kids that depended on me to start to make, better decisions about where my financials was headed.
Yep. So, you've laid it out a good foundation for us. I think the bottom line is that a lot of us are not always willing to admit that we're struggling financially. So a lot of times, as you rightfully said, what we look at is the flow of money in, but we don't want to talk about the other side, which is your debt and the flow of money out, because it's easy to think that you can control the flow of money in. But I often say that there's probably it's probably harder to increase your income, and because, like you said, there are factors that you have no control over. So you can't force the price of gas down. You can't control inflation. And despite what I was even listening to sessions of the LA yesterday, despite what some MPs want you to think, they can't control inflation either. They can't control interest rates. There are variables that are definitely outside of your control. So when it comes to your finances, you've got to look at what you can do. You can't dictate to your employer to pay you more money. Now, there might be things you can do in terms of upskilling yourself, finishing that qualification that you've been meaning to get if you're in financial services, trying to do more, maybe becoming the MLRO, or, there are upgrades that you can do. If you're a minimum wage worker, and I've always said this, it's fine to say, let's increase the minimum wage, but you will always be a minimum wage worker. So even if if $6 is the minimum wage, even if you increase it to $10, you're still a minimum wage worker. And the cost of living and everything else is still going to go up. Unless you do something yourself to improve your position in life where you can come out of that minimum wage bracket, you will always be a minimum wage worker, right?
Well,
and the world isn't designed for minimum wage workers. Nowhere in the world.
I agree with you, right? And let me go a little bit further.
Mm-hmm.
If I give, and I've done this many times, if you're getting paid $8 an hour and you are spending $12 an hour by the time you're taking it home, if I increase it to $15 an hour, you're going to be spending $20 an hour because your spending habits haven't changed. What I'm trying to get people to understand, son, is that finances isn't about being an accountant. I'm not an accountant, right?
Yeah.
What finances is about, it's about behavior. And when you start to change your behavior, you start to see your finances change. And that's what I did. That's all I did was I start living within contentment. I start saying to myself, I don't really need that right now. I'll get it eventually, but I don't need it right now. What I need right now is an emergency fund. I need to protect my family. So let me get an emergency fund in the bank that if anything should come up, I have a little bit of a cushion, right?
Yes.
What I need right now is to get all my bills, all my debt paid up, right? And that's what I did. Paid off credit card bills, car loans, all of that sort of stuff. I'm completely debt-free. My wife and I are completely debt-free besides our mortgage. We have a 15-year mortgage that we're paying off in under 8 years. And a lot of what we're trying to do is looking at, can we do this intentional? I often say, folks, do not go down this sort of financial journey if you're not going to be intentional about it. If you're not going to save, with some level of intentionality, then this is a waste of time for you. Not every time that you have a few dollars in the bank, but then, you need to go on a trip, then that money goes to the trip. It has to be, hey, something, I don't care if the world is falling apart. I'm not touching that money unless there's some level of emergency that I need to use that money for.
Yes.
So one of the first things that I help people with is let's put in a budget. Let's go to a budget, whether that is a budget that you want to put on Excel or whether that is a budget that you want to actually write down. But it has to be a monthly budget of all of your expenses and your salary. So you know that when you put your salary in and all your expenses in, you are allocating all of your salary to that budget and you're shaping by that budget. So if you're saying to me, hey, I'm only going to spend $500 on groceries, then that's all we take out of the bank. So there's a couple of things that I say to people. Once you establish a budget, a monthly budget, there's a couple of things that I ask them to take out in cash because those are the areas that we often overspend. Groceries is stage one. We go in, we swipe a card, right? And when we swipe a card, it's not very personal. But when we use cash, our behavior changes whenever we use cash, right? Things like gas for our cars. I've seen people who have the best intentions of going to the gas station to just put some gas. They'll put $30, $40, $50 in their car, but then they'll go into Burger King and spend $30 or $40. Or they'll go into, now every gas station now have a liquor store, right? So they'll come out with groceries, but you only really went to the gas station to actually fill up your car, right? But if you pull that money out with cash, you're no longer swiping a card, right? Things like entertainment, when you're going to eat out, take that money out. So if you're giving yourself, so the budget to me is freedom. It gives you the freedom to spend your money in a coordinated way. So what I say to folks is things like entertainment. Hey, I'm not saying don't go out. I'm saying give yourself the money to go out. And when that money is done, It's done. You're not going into your grocery money. You're not going into your gas money. You're not going into your mortgage or your car payments or whatever else you have. If you're saying that I have $300 for the month to eat out, then take that money out. And when you go to eat out, you put it in a little envelope. And when you go to eat out, you're saying, okay, I'm only going to borrow, like, I'm only going to take money from this envelope. And when it's done, it's done. My wife and I lived on an envelope for 12 years. Every time we got paid, we have 15 years, Sandy, of budgets. I know what my light bill was 15 years ago. I know what I paid for water, for food. I know when my kids were coming to visit me in Cayman, when they lived in the US, I know what we paid for their plane tickets. You know, like, I know what we paid for rent. I know the budget gives you a really great track record of what you're spending. What I also say to folks about the budget is that you start to see patterns in the budget, and right away people see it. Oh my God, I'm spending that much on groceries. I'm spending that much on going out. I need to cut that. People see it for themselves, right? I don't need to always explain it to them. The moment that I say, can you just write down everything that you're spending, and I drop it into a spreadsheet that I use for them, they automatically see it. And now their behavior start to change, because now it's real for them, right? They just put their bills in a closet and walk away and pretend that they don't have a bill. They now actually see it. And that's the stuff that I believe that's helping people change their lives. And it's little steps. I'm not saying you need to make, these huge changes to your life. Just putting in a budget and looking at it every month, and taking all your money before you get paid, I'm telling you, is one of the most powerful tools that I've ever used in financial coaching. In 13, 14 years I've been doing this.
Wow. And it really creates like self-awareness, I think, is what it does, because like you said, it's easy if you're living on credit. And you know what is so interesting, Michael, is you were talking about us using that. I'm not a cash person. I really actually despise cash for more reasons than one, but I definitely understand your logic. And what I do, as opposed to using a credit card, I use my debit card. So that's cash. And I consciously keep nothing in that account until I'm ready to make a transaction. I tell people this all the time for safety reasons as well, right? So if I need to make a purchase of $500, I'm going to transfer $502 in that primary debit card account, and then I'm going to use it. But, keeping track of your expenses. And I love now, big shout out to CNB and all the other banks that might do this, but I know for sure CNB does. I get little notifications. The second I swipe it, I get a bing on my phone, and I can go and look at my SMS messages. Oh, wow, that's what I spent today. These are the places that I went. Putting it on paper, writing it down, keeping a track of it. It just makes you so much more conscious about your spending habits. And also, we are teaching our children some of those exact same spending habits. So, I'm fortunate enough where, I tried to wait to have a child when I felt like I was a little bit more financially comfortable than the environment that I grew up in, which by many accounts would have been poverty, right? But I'm also cognizant of her seeing me swipe a card. And when she sees something, she's like, oh, I said, but how are we going to pay for this? She said, oh, well, just swipe that card. And I'm but do you understand what this card is? No, but just swipe it, because clearly that has limitless amount of money. And I'm like, no. This card is linked to something called a bank account. And a bank account is something that you have to put money into. It's not magic. It doesn't just make money. So remember how you're saving your birthday money and you have your little piggy bank. We've opened up a student saver for you, So when I opened up the student saver, they gave us a little piggy bank at CNB. And I said to her, we got to start now saving your money. And, big shout out to Miss Karen over at CNB. She said, Sandy, have her come in. Show her at a young age how she's got to put money into the bank account. That's how money gets in. So, it's important that we as parents, I think, get a hold of our personal situations, our situations as families, and also work really, really diligently to pass on those messages to our children, because we do them a disservice, right? If we have learned the lesson, but we don't pass the lesson on, because then what is the point really of financial literacy?
This is what it is, right? So when I took Financial Peace University is a course, Sandy, my wife and I took 14 years ago. I filed bankruptcy. She was in some level of debt. And when I came back to Cayman in 2010, we were in about $60,000 worth of debt. So we took Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University. It's a 9-week course. I teach it now as a financial coach, and I've been teaching it now for the last 12, 13 years. One of the issues that I have seen is that, one, people are refusing to live on a budget, but then when they get into financial problems, they then want to blame the government for the cost of living and all of this sort of stuff, right? I'm not dealing with, the folks that I'm working with quite often aren't people that are in poverty. These are people that are working in government or in some sort of corporate structure that are making $50,000 to $150,000, right? They're not making smart decisions. Right. So the goal for me has always been, I need to help you change your behavior, because obviously money is not a problem for you, right? Let's work on changing behavior. So when I took Financial Peace University, it was all about helping me change and understand my behavior and how I want to change. Another thing that I often that I've done is that I wanted to change my family tree. I saw my mom struggle just like you saw yours. I'm sure struggle, right? I didn't want that for the rest of my life. So after I came out of bankruptcy, I promised myself that my children will never have to file bankruptcy unless they choose to. It's going to be their choice to go through that, not because they didn't know better. So I put college on a budget. That I made them do a budget. They both had full scholarships from and multiple grants and all this stuff. But what I also did was both of them had to give me a budget every single month. They knew what they were getting for their scholarship. I gave them $300. They had to drop that into a budget, because I'm not just giving away money. It's my money. I'm choosing to give you $300, but it was based on, you need to make a 3.0 every single month. And you need to produce a budget, and I have to approve that budget. I'm not giving you money. I'm not working hard to give you my money to go away and party on.
And just waste it, yeah.
Right. So they had to do those things. So I got them on a really great financial journey very early. I have a 9-year-old, same thing, right? We include her in our grocery shopping. So she knows what she's gonna have for dinner at least 6 days of the week. She knows what she's gonna have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner 6 days a week, because she goes to the grocery store and she helps us prepare the meals. She is. We
do have a caller in the line, Michael. Let's just grab this call. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sandra. Good morning, Mr. Myles. How are you?
Morning. How are you?
Morning.
I'm fine. I just wanted to comment quickly about what Mr. Myles is talking about. And I just wanted to add my 2 cents. I think 2 things that people need to be taught if they don't know it already is number 1, contentment, and number 2, delayed gratification.
Yes.
You don't need to have.
Let me give you an applause. Yes, delayed, especially with the delayed gratification. We're talking about that a little bit here, but yes.
I have an iPhone now, Sandra. You know me. You know that I can buy the latest iPhone, the best and the best every year if I want. You understand? My iPhone I have is 4 years old.
Yeah.
They're working fine. You understand? And it's not that I don't see the new iPhone, I'm just using that as an example.
Yes.
It's not that I see it's not like I don't see the new iPhone and then, here's this new feature and this new that. I'm content with what I have.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
And if you want something, you don't need to get it now. Is it a want or is it a need?
Yes. I was going to get to that, because my aunt always used to say that. Ask yourself, is it a want or is it a need? And then if it falls into the want category, you need to think carefully about whether or not you can even afford it.
But I love that. I love that Mr. Myles is talking about teaching people how to budget. Me personally, I keep a little composition book. And I put my budget down and I track all of my transactions. I mean, it don't have to be a composition book. It could be a spreadsheet. It could be whatever, an app on your phone or whatnot.
Yeah.
But it really does make a difference. When you see how much you spending, you can say, all right, even though I budget, I don't know, let's say $400 a month for groceries. Let me see if I can not go past $390 or $350 for this month. And you can make goals and you can, that little $50 that you save, you can put that toward, all right, well, now I want the iPhone, but every month, let's see if I can do this for 12 months.
Yeah.
And all the money that I save, that can go towards something that I want as a little reward.
That's it.
Sticking to your budget.
It's great, man. That's great.
Thank you
You
so
must
much.
have you must have gone through some sort of course or been or have come from
hard financial knocks will do it to you too.
Yeah,
Thank you, caller.
That's really
Yes.
great.
Let me tell you what it was, Mr. Myles. Let me tell you what it was. When I first got out of school and I started working, money was no object.
Yes.
And then I just got to a point where it was like I worked too hard not to have something for myself at the end of the day. So when I started budgeting, and it was a good teacher friend who taught me how to do it. And from that was what, 15 years ago. I haven't stopped since.
Good job, man. Good job.
To you.
Thank you so much. 936-2626. Of course, the phone lines are always open. And I'm glad that caller has shared, because I think a lot of us, especially when we're younger, like we just didn't know any better. We weren't passed on any good skills in terms of money management or savings or any of this stuff. And this is why this financial literacy program, this course that, Michael's institution is offering is so important, because it really brings home these key principles, but in a very concrete way. You know, when I heard the caller talk about the iPhone, I'm one of those people, I love a gadget. I have to admit, I'm into tech and stuff a lot. And so for a while, I always felt like I had to keep up with the latest iPhone. At one time, I got to tell you all, this was, one of those things that stood out in my mind as being just sort of stupid, to be quite frank and honest. I actually went to Miami to get the latest iPhone because I'm like, I have to have it now. It's almost like a drug to have the latest gadget, right? And because it had literally just dropped a couple of days ago, it's not going to be cheap. It was like $1,600 for the latest iPhone. And I was like, nope, I don't care. I got to have it. And, as time went on, I'm like, wow, that could have gone on my mortgage. That would have paid the mortgage and then some at the time. That would have been extra money. We all make really poor and stupid financial decisions. And it's really about trying to be more conscientious and make better decisions and get to the point where you're making more better decisions than more poor decisions. And so, occasionally we may still make poor decisions, but one of the things I really loved how you were talking about trying to expedite your mortgage payment. And this is something that I have also done. I know that it can be done. A few people have heard me talk about this in the show, and they said, Sandy, you've motivated me to start throwing some extra on my mortgage. The single biggest commitment, a financial debt commitment that you will have is a mortgage, right?
Yes.
And, you spend a lot of money on your mortgages, interest rates for the first half of the life. All you're really doing is paying interest. So every single additional payment that you can make on that principal brings down the interest. And so I was on a sort of accelerated schedule of trying to get my mortgage paid down. And the crazy thing is, Michael, every time they would send me, okay, I've made this extra payment in addition to the mortgage, because I was like, if you're going to do it, make your regular mortgage payment and then do extra on top of that, right? Yeah. And it was so amazing to see not just the principal come down, but the interest rates kept coming down. And I was like, whoa, this is amazing. And that has allowed us as a family to invest in other properties, because all of a sudden now you have proper equity in your own home, and you can leverage that equity to go to the bank and say, hey, I want to do something else. I want to do a piece of land. I want to do this. One of the worst debt decisions that you can make is to actually get a car loan. And I know this is difficult because all of us need a car and a lot of us want a nice car and we want to drive a nice car. But I'm telling you, if you plan ahead, you can budget and save and still get that nice car, but do it out of pocket. And go and look up these. I'm sure Michael will cover this in his course. But when you use tools like, the interest rate calculation tools, and you see, okay, you get a car loan, you borrow, say $60,000, because now you got a decent job, you want to get yourself a nice little ride, whatever. You borrow $60,000 from the bank, right? The interest that you're going to pay, let me see if we can do it really quickly. On borrowing $60,000 from a bank, say over 7 years, because they're probably going to give you 7 years to pay that back, is astronomical. You're going to pay for that car probably 2.5 times.
Twice.
If you could actually save and pay that cash yourself, you have saved yourself $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, which you could use, in some other regard.
Yeah.
So trust me, folks, when I tell you there are little things that, as you get older and more mature, hopefully, and this course will help accelerate that hopefully you will be in a position where you can just, make these informed decisions that will be life changers for you. I remember I've told this story recently where, we used to have an apartment and we were looking to sell that and to actually get a home. And we had some neighbors, and the funny thing is, one of them actually worked in a bank. And so they were interested, and they're like, oh, yeah, we want to get it. We want to get your place. I was like, okay, well, this is the price, whatever. And they went to the bank, and do you know what happened? They were told they had a credit card, and the bank basically said, because of your debt ratio, you have to pay off this credit card and get rid of the credit card. They opted to not become homeowners because they were told you have to get rid of the credit card.
Yep.
And my mind was blown about what a poor decision that was. Yep. Because a credit card is one of the highest interest things that you can have. I just recently got a credit card because I didn't have a credit card for years because I refused to get one. Because I know the traps that you fall into with a credit card. Oh, well, use it now, pay later. You're going to really pay later, right? Yeah. And so they made the decision to not, listen to this, to not purchase a home, to continue to rent. Because, when we go online, we can shop at this kid store for stuff for kids and we don't have to pay it back. And I'm like, have you looked at the interest rate? Have you looked at the fact that you don't get any returns on that? If you had a home, you'd be building equity for yourself. Like the thinking, we are poor because we think like poor people.
Well, that's it, right? And that's the change, Sandy. And, when FRC gave me the opportunity to host this and become a sponsor of this, I jumped to it because I've been trying to get our phenomenal government on board with this for a long time because they are the biggest bailers of people, right? And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be helping our people, but there's a lot of people out there. It doesn't matter if you help them. What's going to happen is that they're going to get right back in debt. And I'm saying, as we help them, then let's teach them a skill so they don't have to come back with their hands out. Let's get them on board where they're living within their means. Because if you could pay a person's mortgage, right? I've seen us do it. Many years ago, I'm sure that you were in Ireland like me. The DART organization came on board. We spent $5 million or something ridiculous on paying off, people from going into foreclosure. The government did that, right? Yeah. We thought we were helping people. Yeah. And as the next government took over, the majority of those people that filed foreclosures went right back into foreclosure. Yeah. Why?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because all of that cash flow that they didn't have, instead of saying to them, instead of teaching them about saving that or putting it in a place where they can now have a rainy day fund, we basically just gave them free cash, right? I see it all the time. So the goal for me has always been, let me give you a hand up. I don't want to, I don't want to give you a handout because you don't need that. Let me give you a hand up and let me teach you a skill because I was taught that. It saved my life. I say to people all the time, Dave Ramsey literally saved me from myself by teaching me a skill to manage myself better. Because if I didn't learn that, I couldn't have taught my kids that, right? And at the end of the day, you are what you are now seeing. And like the caller obviously said, if you're not living in contentment, if you're buying the latest stuff every year, but you can't put groceries on your table, and that's the people that I'm working with. Like I'm working with people that are getting paid well, but they need to have the latest iPhone. They need to have a car loan. They need to have a nice car because they need to impress a person they don't give a about, you know. So all of this stuff happens. So the district, Sunday, I wanted to simply just also make sure that people are aware that we're having these district meetings to help people to just give you some skills. It's about an hour and a half to 2 hours long. Tonight, we're going to be in East End. And the goal for us right now is to ensure that just people have basic skills. I'm not giving them the full financial peace course because we obviously don't have the time for that. We absolutely have a 9-week course. I actually just finished up doing a course with the RCIPS, who has done exceptional well. They have looked forward and they've said, listen, we want to take care of our officers. And they've now embedded the program into their training program. I've now been called by other organizations, from accounting firms to government organizations to small mom and pop shops, right? I do a lot of one-to-one coaching. If if people certainly want stuff like that, but this is where we're going with this, and a lot of it is just really just guiding people to simpler times where they can manage themselves better.
Yep. And here's just a quick example of this car loan, right? So, I mean, I don't know what the going interest rate is for cars, but if you borrow $60,000 to give you 7 years to pay it, your monthly payments are going to be $960. But then look at what it is that you're doing with interest. Basically, 26% of what you're paying back is going to be in interest payments, over $20,000, right? So, it's something to think about, folks. This is an opportunity. Give us all the details, Michael, and how people can find out more about the course and, how they can come out to these district events.
So it's the course normally starts, it's from 7 to 9. It's every Wednesday. I'm pretty sure if you go on the FRC website, I don't have it actually right in front of me right now. But Sandy, I know that because I'm looking at the email now, if you check back through your email, hopefully you can post it on your site. There's a registration form that they can sign up, and it's free, right? It's a free opportunity for people to come in. Normally people, when people are doing this one-to-one, people are paying me $150 an hour to sit with me to guide them through their whole financial journey. The course itself costs $410, right? So it is not an inexpensive course because you're getting a lot from it. What I am doing is helping people change their behavior. I would have paid that and then some because I have made that back and more, right? It has been a value tool for me, and I passed it on to as many people as I possibly can because I know going through this course was a phenomenal opportunity for me to change my life and change my children's lives. And we've done that. I can say to you, I am an ordinary person. I'm absolute ordinary. I have no background in accounting. My wife is actually, an accountant, but works as a director of HR for PwC. But again, this wasn't an accounting issue that we were having. This was a behavior issue, right? And this is what I try to tell people, like, well, because folks suddenly will say to me, well, Michael, I'm just not good at math. Neither am I. I'm not good at math either, but I'm good at Excel. I can put my salary in Excel and put all my expenses in, and it all calculates for me. Like that's the Excel spreadsheet that I have. I don't have to do a lot of thinking. What I have to do now is be able to sit down 2 weeks before I get paid and look at what I'm going to spend. I now have people forecasting their expenses because you hear the word forecasting and you're like, but isn't that like a company? No. That's also a person. I want you to know what you're going to be spending your money on in May from December. And you can forecast that because everybody know when their bills are going to be happening, right? Let's write that stuff down. Let's punch it into a spreadsheet, have it calculate all up for you. And now you have an opportunity to look ahead. I have people saying, well, Michael, I can't go on vacation. Okay, let's forecast 6 months. Right? Let's put a little money in there for vacation if that's what you want to do, but we have to get rid of payments. As long as you have a car loan, you're not going to be free of anything. As long as you have credit card debt, you're not going to be free of anything. As long as you have, personal loans, you're not going to be free of anything. And that's what I see a lot of folks are doing. I have had people, Sandy, that have gone to, whether it's CMB or Butterfield or the credit union, and they're borrowing personal loans for things like Christmas. They're borrowing personal loans for vacation.
To take a vacation, yeah.
And then
it's crazy. And of course, the banks don't mind you doing it because they're charging you exorbitant interest rates.
Of course they are.
That's the business they're in.
They're not going to say no. And then, unfortunately, people are now.
And you know what else is horrible? And we're going to have to start to wrap this up, Michael. But you know what else is horrible is a lot of these loan to payday businesses have now, sort of emerged in our market, which we didn't have them before. But they're encouraging even worse behavior because the people who have to turn to a loan to payday business, that means that you've got financial problems. If you have to borrow money from a friend to make ends meet, or you have to go to loan to payday, that in and of itself is an indication to you that you need this course and that you need some financial CPR as quickly as possible. You are now going to pay sometimes quadruple what the traditional interest rates are from a bank in order to get $300, $400, $500 if you're lucky loan from someone. And it is the worst type of loan in the world.
It is. And unfortunately, that's the desperation of where people are at, right? And then unfortunately, their house comes into question because now you have to give the bank something. So it's normally your house, and then all of a sudden, this is where our government gets involved, and it's overwhelming to now you are on your knees begging for the government or some other organization to get involved to help you. And this is what I have seen over a course of time. These 2-hour seminars are really a great start for anyone who just want to come in and have a clear understanding. I want to be able to help every Cayman. I want to make it very clear. If this was just about money to me, I wouldn't do this. Right? This is not just about, I want to help our people because I see and I hear the pain out there. I work with a lot of young people every single day. They're broke. They're living with their parents and they want to change their behavior. And I am saying, if you want to change your behavior, then let's start to sacrifice some stuff. Because if you want to change, you can't drop $200 on a Friday night drinking beer, right? You can't always feel like, you're going to, go and have brunch, but you don't have any money, right? There's some sacrifices that has to be to this. And
Absolutely.
when you start to save some money, you have money. You have money in your account.
Yep.
And that's where.
And trust me, learn to love your home. I've always said this, and I stick by this. I don't be out in these streets. I don't be, as you say, going to the bars and clubs and whatever, spending all this pile of money because I pay way too much to have a house, right, to the bank every single month. I'm like, I'm going to enjoy that. I'm going to kick up my feet on the back porch and look around and try to enjoy some of that property because I'm still paying for it,
There you go,
So
right?
you gotta, a lot of it really has to do with attitude adjustments. And I got to tell you, I'm no longer the one to be running now, getting the latest iPhone. Although the irony of it now, Michael, is because I use my phone for work, I have more of a justification for having the latest iPhone because of camera features or whatever. But I'm still like, you know what? They didn't make enough changes for me to justify it. Let me wait another model out. So I'm still holding on to it 2-3 models later and then upgrading when it makes sense for me to upgrade. So folks, we can all learn. We can all do better. We've all been there. We've all made really poor decisions. Some of us have been on the brink of bankruptcy. Some of us have filed for bankruptcy. You can turn it around, folks. It's going to take some time, but there's nothing worse than seeing people, especially when you're coming into your senior years and you might not be making the income that you used to, all of a sudden running into financial difficulties. And as the saying goes, everybody is like literally one paycheck away from bankruptcy. You have a major illness, cancer, so many different things can go wrong in your life that will put you back financially. So take this beginner's course. Someone, Shaka Zulu, is asking if there's a more advanced literacy course beyond the beginners. Can you tell us, what you offer in terms of that? And we do have one call. I think we have a caller.
So, so we have Financial Peace University is the more intense course. It's a 9-week course. It's once a week for 2.5 hours for 9 weeks. We don't have anything scheduled on the books right now because I'm really only doing like corporate stuff right now. There's a number of organizations that want their staff to have access because, as you rightfully said, Sandy, another indication that people need help is where they're consistently getting salary advances. So a lot of organizations are now seeing this and are now calling us to try to help them, manage some of this stuff. But this, I'm pretty sure, that these things will come up. I know Mr. Panton often sponsors every year a course for his folks
and Newlands
in his constituency.
Yes.
Kathy Wilkes this year also sponsored a course for her people, and they did like people are not just paying off that Sunday, but people are saving because all they're doing now, like they now get it. Right when that bulb goes off, I'm telling you, the sweetest thing when I see them get this, and they're like, "Oh wow, you mean I can do X, Y, and Z and save X, Y, and Z? Yeah, do that and keep saving, right?
Okay.
So
we've got a caller in the line. Speaking of saving money, since we still don't have a toll-free number, hint, Flo. Let's go ahead and grab this call. Caller, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Sandy, that was a very interesting show this morning regarding the the money, the course that's been conducted. I guess later on I'll listen to some of the reruns and get the gist of it. But very informative, very informative. I think it's something that's needed in this country forever. It's surprising, but in a way not, that it's not being taught in schools. You know, I've often advocated amongst friends and family that instead of us having home economics, because if you haven't learned home economics at home, I mean, that's where it should be taught. But they should exchange that for economics, basic economics. So it's good to hear. It's good to hear that these things are happening, because no matter how much money you give a fool, he gonna waste it. But it's very informative to hear this conversation happen. I think it should be put in our curriculum. I doubt if it's going to happen though, because it's not by accident that it hasn't been in curriculum in schools all these years. I think the masses, they want us to remain ignorant.
Well, you know what? In this day and age, it doesn't matter what they want. You have the opportunity, and it's accessible. The government, as Michael has just said, has made it available at no cost to people. So you just got to get up and get out there and get it done.
Right.
Yes. Thank you so much, caller.
And Mr. Michael can continue the great job. It's very informative. Thank you so much for this information.
Bye-bye. You're welcome.
So, Sandra, I know that we need to wrap up.
Yeah, we do.
Let me
so
give
your contact information as well. There's some people who are saying that they want to bring you into their organization to maybe do some workshops and so on. So how can people reach you?
They can call me at 939-1301, or they can email us at info@inspirekimandtraining.com. Again, my number is 939-1301, or they can email us at info@inspirekimandtraining.com. Right. Beautiful. And we come to you as well. One of the things that I know people feel more comfortable with, if they're having it at their organizations, as long as I have somewhere I can, set up my computer and, you have at least a screen that I can plug in and people can see and sound, I'm good to go. But I want people to feel comfortable in their own space. And most organizations are having it, I will go to them as opposed to them coming to me. If it needs to be in the evenings, that's great as well. Sometimes it clashes. I'm doing 2 courses right now online for organizations all over the Caribbean. So, I try to make it as convenient. The issues that I run into is people are signing up for these courses and then they don't show up.
Lord Jesus.
Their organizations are paying for these courses and they don't show up. Or if they do show up, it is very haphazard. I said this to the premier as well, is that he's been very generous over the last 3 years. We'll start off with 20-something people. And then by the time the course is all done, you're down to 12. And I've said, let's just start at 12, right? Let's start at, 12 really awesome people that really, truly want to change their lives. So, if folks want to do this, you need to stick to all the way through, because it's a lot of really cool things that you will learn. Sunday, we are having we're having a course tonight at East End. Let me tell you where it is. I just pulled up the flyer so people will know where it is. It's East End New Testament Church, and it's from 7 to 9. The next one is November 22nd. It's in Georgetown at the Red Cross headquarters. All right, and then we're having one over in Nebraska as well. And of course, there's another one. There's one in Bordentown on the 29th at the Bordentown Public Library. And then there's one in Nebraska. I know that is also, I think it's I need to find out with the date that one is in Nebraska.
Okay. But I've placed the registration link, folks, in the comment section. So please go ahead and register. Thank you so much, Michael. Really appreciate you.
No, thank you. Appreciate you putting us on there and getting this out to the general public. So thanks again, Sonia. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right, my dear. Have a good one.
You too. Take care.
All right, folks. Michael Myles there from Inspire Cayman again. These courses are available. This is sort of an introductory to the full course, available at no cost to you. I'm not surprised when he says people register and then don't show up, or they show up and they're haphazard about it. You've got to be committed to the change. If we want a better country, folks, we have to be in it to win it. You know what I'm saying? We have to be committed. We have to do it with a degree of, just you just got to do it with everything you got, folks. You can't do it haphazard. And it's always shocking to me how we complain so much, and then when we have the opportunity to level up and to do our part, we still sitting back complaining because we just have gotten used to handouts and we enjoy handout. Time to put the kibosh on that and really start doing